desk a mess, but we got some incense going, so it all feels right. I got my morning tea and some morning creative inspiration. So let's see. So I know this isn't the best angle of me, but I don't know. I'm in limbo. Sometimes I really care about what I look like, and other times I don't. And at this point, I just want to stay so consistent with YouTube that I don't care what I look like. And I can honestly say that this time around, I am actually having fun because I'm keeping it simple, because it's just me in the spaces that I feel comfortable sharing, that I feel safe sharing. Yeah. Anyways, not to go on a tangent, but ADHD, look at this bookmark my mom got me. It's a magnetic bookmark. Isn't that cute? I'm always in my audiobooks, so I don't use bookmarks too often, but I do like to collect pretty bookmarks regardless. So I'm really grateful for that gift. Let's clean up this desk a little bit. I have the beginnings of my Florida water recipe this time around. It's different every time, so I don't care about showing y'all. This time I'm using the herbs in my garden to make the Florida water. These are my supplements. Well, some of them, not all of them actually. And then let's move this up. Let's trade places. Okay, so I wanted to, I don't know what the plan is today. I do know. Okay. Let's back up. Welcome back to Ethereal and Elusive. I am and right now I'm waking up, the cats are waking up, and it's a good time. Let me raise you a little bit. There we go. I'm waking up, the cats are waking up, it's a good time. My partner's getting some good sleep, that's a good time. So today my intention is to find just be creative consistently throughout this day. And so whatever snippets I get, whatever I don't. If this turns into a vlog, great. If it doesn't, that's okay as well. It can just be a part of the collection of footage where I've recorded and have never put it with something. But that's really hot, but really good. This is 2 bags of green tea in my big old mug. Yeah, I got this mug from Dollar Tree as well. I live in Dollar Tree. I'm sorry if my lips are dry in this video. I'm waking up. I don't know what you want from me. Anyways, I wanted to read a page out of How to Live an Artful Life by Katie Hessel. Yeah. We want to be creative today. Why not start the day in a book? So we'll go to June 6th. As you can see, I missed a few days. I missed this day, but what a pretty picture. What an interesting picture anyways. I missed that day. I don't know what that is. June 6th. Art is a way to change systems. I'm not going to read the whole page because it's kind of long, but I am going to read the beginning quote of it. Well, how do you write a female character that interests me? It's not a general thing. She's got to have some sort of interior life. What is she there to do? I often ask myself this. In many films, I think, what are the women in this film here to do? Apart from service everyone else's desire and be sexy and be desired too, you know nothing about them. And apparently just being desired is to know a lot about them. A quote from Deborah Levy. If you hear any feral activity in the background, it's just my cats. Ignore it. So much of the histories of art or film have reduced women to two-dimensional characters. What is the impact of this? How can we raise our consciousness to resist this troubling default that has stuck for so many years and to recognize the depth and interiority of all people? I often think about the French artist Suzanne Valadon, prominent in 1920s Paris, who painted her rich interior life in a self-portrait, The Blue Room. Look at this image. Valadon was an artist model turned artist who was never formally trained but rather learned from those who drew her. She had spent her first solo exhibition aged 46 and was a financially independent woman living in Paris at a time when women were still very much second-class citizens. Here she paints herself in her own space, taking on the reclining Venus pose that had objectified women for centuries. To me, she exudes freedom, upending the tradition of painting nude women in this pose. And here is the picture. And once again, the name of this day is Art is a Way to Change Systems. So that is actually really inspiring. I'm all about women. I'm all about women, and I'm all about women who are defying all odds and stereotypes and having the freedom to express and be who they really authentically are in every spectrum of the word. Actually, this morning I was thinking about various seasons of my life. There was a good portion of I'm 33, so maybe that's why I'm breaking it up into threes. But there was a good portion of my life where I was really religious and walked in the light, and only the light, and the dark was taught to me as scary, even though looking back, darkness lurked in me regardless. Now, when I talk about dark and light, let's start in the place that darkness is not evil. Darkness is not the antithesis of good. I'm not talking about good or bad. Okay. Maybe I have to sit with it to see what other words could be synonyms. That's my cat. Don't worry about him. He's fine. What other words could be synonyms to dark and light? But I am 100% not talking about good and bad. I guess in a very oversimplified way, it would be acceptable, culturally acceptable, and that wouldn't be it either. I don't know. I'll think about it. But anyways, I spent a good portion being religious, purity culture, blah, 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 in the light. And then I feel like the years that I was in Florida for a total of 7 years. It was the greatest 7 years of my life. I'm a fan, got on Florida. And I felt like I really had the space and the freedom because I was there by myself, no family, no friends, nobody who had any preconceived notions of me, and I could truly just be myself and explore myself. It gave me a chance for the first time to explore my inner darkness and my shadows, and see what comes up. And there was so much to process through. It was definitely a challenging thing to explore, especially coming from purity culture. There was a lot to deconstruct, a lot to decolonize, a lot to unlearn. But since being in North Carolina in this portion of my life, it really feels like integration. And honestly, the word that's coming up, I didn't think about this word prior to this moment, but the word that's coming up is reconciliation as well. I don't know. I gotta sit with that word, but definitely integration of both parts, learning to live with both parts, learning to have a balance in both parts and accept I have accepted the full picture of myself. So I guess that's kind of what that prompt and that quote further makes me think about, which I was already thinking about today. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to continue about my day, and then if I get the inspiration to pick up the camera again, cool. If not, then who knows what will turn into this clip. All right, catch y'all in a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. I'm elusive, so who knows?
These for you. Your heads went toward the rows of seats, fangs elongating. Susan Yost stood in motion for Laura, who moved stiffly, as if walking to her death. He took her hand, admiring how little it trembled. Neck or wrist? He asked her. Her painted nails touched her throat. He swept her curls away from her brown skin, exposing the length of her neck.
Hi, love bugs. I just wanted to check in really quick. Oh my gosh, my forehead looks so shiny, but I literally just walked the trail. All baddies have big foreheads. Moving on. I wanted to check in because I'm in the middle. I'm having a really good book month, and this is not jinxing it. But so far, June has been a really good month. I think I shared in the last video that I had like a few months. I think it was March, April, and May, which is really sucky reading months for me. I didn't find any book that was like that wet my whistle per se. But June has been off to a really good start. So I think the first clip that I have for whatever this video is going to turn into is like, oh, I'm just going to have a whimsical creative day. I did have a whimsical creative day. That did happen. However, I was very present, and so I did not pick up the camera again. But I did do a lot of random whimsical creative things. It turned out really good. I also crossed off like 2 things from that summer bucket list of the snail mail club that I received. Go back and watch that video if you haven't. But I wanted to talk about like the books that I'm in the middle of right now. So right now I'm reading Eternal Ruin by Tigist Girma. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so please forgive me if that is incorrect. And I'm also reading Serviceberry by Robin something. I don't remember her name, but really great books. So I just finished Eternal Ruin. So my thoughts on that is, first of all, Eternal Ruin, if you don't know, is the second book of what's gonna be a trilogy. The third book is coming out January of 2027. And this is a series that I did not have to force myself to read. I thoroughly enjoyed Immortal Dark, that's the first book, and I thoroughly enjoyed Eternal Ruin. I was hesitant to read it. I don't know, there's some blockage, but even with that blockage, I was like, you know, I've been having really sucky reading months. Let me read a book that I know is gonna be good. So I read it. It was as good, even better. I would say it met my expectation because the first book definitely set the bar very high, and the second book met it. And it's just a really good series. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it is really good. And there are 2 people in the first book, more than 2 people, but 2 people specifically in the first book that I did not trust. And turns out in the second book, they absolutely were not trustworthy. But one thing that came up, and the reason why I wanted to kind of record this right now, is that I noticed that with, especially the second book in particular, the first book as well, but the second book, it was actually a written observation in a few spots in the book, is that there is this theme of grief. And it's just really interesting because I've been moving through grief, building a better relationship with grief, experiencing a lot of grief over the more recent years of my life, coming face to face with it, recognizing that as a Libra, how we cope with life's challenges is we romanticize things, we find the magic in everything. But grief is not something that I can romanticize. I cannot dress it up and make it seem as if something it is not. It is uncomfortable. And I have learned so much from it. And the main character in the book is dealing with a lot of grief. And it's obvious from page 1 of the first book that her way of coping with it is channeling that anger into action by any means necessary, even if it requires violence. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, especially in a fictitious world. I love me a strong, badass female lead that's willing to do whatever she need to do, right? But yeah, my experience with grief is, I think it looks different depending on the season. I'll think about that. Let me come back. Let me put a pin in that and come back to it. But anyways, while I was thinking about the theme of grief, the topic of grief being a big theme in that book, I was also thinking about how, well, I asked myself this question in my car. It's just like, is grief synonymous with sadness? And I know that it is definitely a simplification of how vast sadness can be, how many other subset emotions can be tied to sadness. But honestly, right now, I'm just thinking about it for my own life, I guess, and for the people around me. grief does feel like it's synonymous with sadness. It also made me think of the movie Inside Out. A little girl, all her emotions are personified, and when she was a baby, the first two emotions that came to her was joy and sadness. And that's kind of what made me think, like, is grief synonymous with sadness? Because I was like, I feel like grief is with us from the beginning. It's just that it's not until we experience a grief that is significant enough that we cannot look away from it, that we are forced to acknowledge it in however way that we acknowledge it. Some people continue to run from it, and so they acknowledge it through vices. But it's the act of running from it. But it's like, regardless of how you interact with grief, you are going to experience it. And I don't think that we should look at it in black and white, good or bad, negative. It is obviously an unpleasant experience. It is obviously not a good experience, but it is just a part of the human experience. And the relationship we develop with it will definitely largely influence how we respond whenever it comes up. And I feel like every version of sadness that I felt was because of some version of grief. There's something that I'm grieving. I'm grieving an unmet expectation, or I'm grieving something that has physically died, or a relationship that has died, or like I'm grieving change. So now my everyday looks different because something has changed in my routine. I feel sadness. I feel a response to that. So yeah, I feel like grief is synonymous with sadness, but I don't feel like that makes it a bad thing. Grief is literally one of the companions that we are given on this human journey, and I don't like it. I'm not saying all this on a high horse to say like, I accept all grief. No, I don't like it. I have those emotional responses to it. I do feel the need to run away from it sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna embrace it, I'm gonna float through it, and we gonna see what happens. But yeah, it was just something that made me think. No concrete like conclusions to come to. It just made me think. And yeah, and so I'm also in the middle of reading a book called Serviceberry that my therapist actually recommended to me, and it's so good. And what's funny is, if you did tune into that video with the snail mail club, and she sent a summer bucket list, one of the prompts was like to read a book about reciprocity. And I had already started the book at this point, but in quotations underneath it, written really small, was like book suggestion Serviceberry. And so it was just very synonymous, very serendipitous how everything is just aligning, and the themes and stuff that are coming up for me right now. But Serviceberry is really good. It definitely, I haven't heard the word reciprocity used, but it definitely is talking about the foundations of that. Where I'm at right now, it's like, what if we lived in a gift society and community where we're looking at everything as a gift? Everything that we receive is a gift, and how that will change how we interact with the things that we receive, and how we interact with our community when we really look at everything as a gift. I think that that's so beautiful. Honestly, I'm like, yeah, that does change a lot of things. It affirms a lot of the things that I've kind of always believed all my life. It's also opening me up to even like, how can I show up more in this way? And yeah, just a lot of things that are coming up, but it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And there was a quote, it was like, what did it say? Our response to abundance is to, or like excess, is to give it away. Like, take what we need, and then, oh, I have excess, how can I share this with my community? And yeah, that's something that I've kind of always believed, maybe not have always practiced, and definitely didn't always have the vocabulary to describe it, but I'm really enjoying the book. So really great recommendation from a lot of different places for me, actually. It's only 2 hours audiobook, and I got it from the library. So yeah, if you haven't read Serviceberry, definitely check it out. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't read the Immortal Dark and Eternal Ruin duology at this point, you should. It's phenomenal. 5 out of 5 stars every time so far. It's only been 2 books. 5 out of 5 stars. I love the experience, and they're really long. They're a series. It's just like a lot of things that I don't like, but the story is so well written. Yeah, you should definitely check it out. Okay, I'll check back in whenever, I guess. I don't know what this video is going to turn into, but I think I'm gonna do like one more check-in and then put it together and post it. But yeah, see y'all in the next clip. I never thought I'd be the person with a rising ritual of rising with the sun. But now that I recognize that I am a solar witch and that I get a lot of like a surcharge when I actually flow with the sun, it has become a natural part of my routine to naturally wake up when the sun is rising. Also, my familiar, my cat, one of my cats is my familiar, naturally wakes up at that time too. So, but it's not even like, if I'm honest, him waking up and being chatty with me is annoying sometimes, but it's also like, if I'm honest, I was already awake before he was like, hey, what's up, mama? Yeah, I don't know what this vlog is, but I don't know, I felt like ending it spiritually, in a spiritual routine or ritual, feels the most aligned. So I will say, wherever you are, whenever you see this, I pray you are well. I pray that the sun greets you with warmth and abundance. I pray that you have all the resources you need in order to do the things that you are called to do, in order to experience joy and abundance. I pray that all analysis paralysis is taken away from you and you're able to flow freely. I pray anything that has you constrained is removed and you are able to flow freely. I pray that your connection with your ancestors and your spirit guide and your source deepen. Yeah, I pray this video finds whoever it needs to find, however many people it needs to find, all in due time. Thank you for joining me. I feel like I want to read something for y'all. For those of you who don't know, I am a published author, and this is my book. It's an author copy, so it has not for resale, but this is my second book called Royalty, and I really like it. It's my heart and soul. There is a poem in here. Wow, I flipped right to the page. There's a poem here that I wanted to share, and I ask that you just receive it, allow it to land however it lands, even if it's just to create an altar of this moment, a sacred pause. This poem has no title, and if you want a copy of my book, the link is in the bio. In the beginning, there was chaos, and God's spirit hovered over the chaos. In the beginning, there was chaos, a dark void of nothing, and God's spirit hovered over the chaotic nothingness. In the beginning, there was God, there was chaos, and there was an opportunity for God to respond. And God did. In the beginning, there was God. There was a chaotic mass of nothing, and God's response was to create. Let there be light. So in the beginning of a new chapter in my life, when presented with nothing and chaos, I will create. That continues to be one of my favorite pieces that I've created. It's something that it's like in the beginning of a new season, it just resonates with me, you know, every time a new season starts. And I definitely feel like, yeah, I have been in that space for a while. So very divine that I even felt called to that. Thank you for coming along on this journey. If you stayed, if you're new here, please subscribe. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. Also hit the bell for notifications of when I post. And yeah, I just hope you stay ethereal. I hope you stay elusive. I hope you always know abundance. I hope you always know peace. I hope you always know joy. Until next time, my friends, be blessed.